To display a loading animation, we're going to use a component called Activity Indicator. This is defined in the core of React Native. So back to our component, let's declare another state variable. We initialize it to false and call it loading. We could also call it isLoading if that's what you prefer. I prefer loading because that's short and sweet. Now, in this function, before we call the server, we're going to set loading to true. And when we are done, we're going to set it back to false. Now, I would like to add a line break here to separate these statements. So I'm treating these three statements as one story because they're highly related. So we call a server, and during this time, we control the loading animation. That is one story. Next, we have another story. If you have an error, we want to show it. And finally, we have another story in case we don't have an error. So with these line breaks, we can separate different stories in our code. Now, here's our flat list. Just before that, we're going to add an activity indicator. So look, this component is defined in React Native. Let's import it. Now here we have a prop called animating. We should set this to loading, so the animation will only appear when we're waiting for the server. But in this demo, let me set it to true, so you can see it at all times. Okay, here's the animation. It's very small. We can change the size to large. That's better. But quite frankly, this animation is pretty boring. In the next lesson, I will show you how to create a beautiful activity indicator.